Hello again, fellow BeachBum traders. Thank you for joining us for our due diligence video on Nouveau Monde Graphite, ticker symbol NMG, as of August 24th, 2022. Thank you for taking a part of your day to again watch us and join us for our initial due diligence on Nouveau Monde Graphics, ticker symbol NMG, where we will do our standard due diligence to decide is NMG a good stock to buy now. So let's get started. This due diligence video on Nouveau Monde Graphite was specifically requested by Art of Mingo during our live chat during our live stream for our top swing trading stocks to watch for August 22nd through 26th. So in response to that specific request for due diligence on NMG, we are producing this video. So thank you for that request, Art of Mingo, our fellow BeachBum trader. Again, anyone else, any of our other fellow BeachBum traders, if you'd like to request our standard due diligence on a particular stock, you can put that in the comments below in our Discord, in our Facebook group, or contact us via our social media. And we will try to accommodate those requests as soon as we are able. Okay, let's start our due diligence on Nouveau Monde Graphite, ticker symbol NMG, by looking at their web page, which is nmg.com. We'll leave the direct link to their homepage in the description box below for your quick reference, but let's just take a quick look at what they're all about. You can see they're stressing right up front, green battery materials to power the energy revolution. We can just it'll let you peruse this website in more detail. Looks like they have a mine, I believe, if I'm correct in French. Nouveau Monde means new world, so new world graphite. Somebody who knows French better than I may be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what that means in French. You can see some of their solutions. They're stressing sustainability, and they do have an investor page, etc. So we can see again, it's green battery materials to power the energy revolution, talking about a sustainable future. There's their quarterly update. So here's some of their latest press releases, announcements, news, etc. It looks like they did a deal with Mason Graphite, an investment agreement. There's an assessment of their advanced material, confirmed minimal environmental footprint. Zero carbon solutions. So again, they're stressing zero carbon solutions. They're saying they're powering their plant with renewable hydropower. This is a Canadian company, so we'll talk about the effects of that being a Canadian company as well. And you can see they're also listed in the New York Stock Exchange as ticker symbol NMG, also on the Canadian Stock Exchange as NOU, and in Frankfurt as NM9A. Talk about cleaner future, ESG, etc., and they have a reasonable social media presence. So I hope that all helps. And again, that also shows they're part of a global battery alliance. So again, we'll dig into their due diligence now that we have a good feel for what the company is presenting in terms of their image to the world. Okay, if we look at the profile for Nouveau Monde Graphite Inc., ticker symbol NMG and ChartMill, and I'll leave the direct link to this ChartMill profile for Nouveau Monde Graphite in the description box below. We can get a quick overview of their technical analysis rating is average 3 out of 5. And again, this is as of August 24th, 2022. The setup rating is below average, 1.5 out of 5. We can see their fundamental analysis, again, 1.5 out of 5, so a little below average poor. Valuation is very poor. Profitability is very poor. Growth is poor. Health is reasonable, so 3.5 out of 5. Don't pay a dividend. You see their market cap's about 346 million. See the shares, 55 million, so it's a pretty small float company. If we look at their profile, we'll get a good idea of description. You see they IPO'd in May of 2016. Nouveau Monde Graphite engages in the development of fully integrated source of green battery anode material. It's headquartered in Montreal, Quebec. So again, a Canadian company went IPO, in 2012. Focus on developing source of carbon-neutral battery anode material in Quebec, Canada for lithium-ion and fuel cell markets. So again, EV batteries, EV lithium-ion batteries, and fuel cells. They own interest in a graphite mine, Meadowinnie graphite mine in Saint-Michel-des-Saints, approximately north of 150 miles north of Montreal. Its battery material plants in Quebec and neutral flake graphite, specialty products, expandable graphite for industrial applications such as additive to roofing membranes and construction materials, to spherical graphite, which is an essential component in all lithium-ion batteries, so used in electric vehicles and energy storage solutions. So again, this is a material. They are a miner that produces a material which is an essential mineral in lithium-ion batteries used for electric vehicles, etc. So you can see what the future prospects of such a basic material would be. Okay, if we look at the stock chart for Nouveau Monde Graphite, ticker symbol NMG and ChartMill, from the daily view, we can see it's made a nice run as of recently. Again, this is in August. It bounced, made a nice run, broke through its moving average. It's trying to break out of its shorter term or its longer term moving averages, its 200-day moving average. So it's had a nice recent run up. If we zoom out to the weekly a little bit, we can see again it's testing that long-term moving average. Had a nice run up. We see it's along a pivot in its longer term chart. We zoom out again to the monthly. So again, we see it had that nice bounce up. It's kind of sitting at a pivot point in its longer term chart. So right now, again, it looks like it's had a nice run up. It's testing its long-term moving average, and it will need some volume to break out. We can see the shorter-term moving average is turning upwards, so that's again another positive indication. Okay, if we look at the technical analysis tab for Nouveau Monde Graphite and ChartMill, we can see technical rating right now is a 6 out of 10. It's only average performing stock in the market. Medium-term picture is unclear, although we see some positive events in the recent activity. So again, you can see this wedge of moving averages where it's testing that at the point. It says the long-term trend is still neutral. It's outperforming 87% of the company stocks in the sector. It's been trading in a 347 to 634 range, which is quite wide. We can see there's a resistance zone, 623 to 629. So again, it's bumping up against the top of that resistance zone. We can see the setup rating right now is a 3 out of 10. Does not offer high quality setup at the moment. Price movement has been a little bit too volatile for a nice entry and exit. Good idea to wait for a consolidation first. So that's, again, ChartMill's recommendation. The rest of their technical analysis indicators are are relatively neutral. It says it's been rising strongly lately, which we saw in the chart. So the short-term trends have been very positive, longer terms negative. So it says the short-term trend is positive, long-term is neutral to negative. So again, we can see the technical assessment or analysis rating is 3 out of 5. Setup's only 1.5 out of 5. We can see the long-term trend is flat. And we can also see it has pretty low volume. If we look at the fundamental analysis tab for Nouveau Monde Graphite and ChartMill, we see the overall fundamental rating is 3 out of 10. Has a great financial health rating, but its profitability evaluates not so good. It's expensive and does not seem to be growing. So we see a very negative profitability. Return on assets is very negative. Profitability is negative. Petoskey F is neutral. Valuation is very poor, 1 out of 10. Price to book is average, but its price to earnings is negative. So they're losing money. They're not making money. The growth is 2 out of 10. So again, it's not very good. Expected to show strong growth in earnings per share in the coming 5 years, but its earnings per share in the last year has decreased. So again, a pretty negative growth prospect. We can see the revenue is expected to increase from 2023 on, but is pretty flat right now. The EPS again is expected to improve going forward, but is still negative even going forward. So they're expected to be unprofitable for some period of time. It's not showing any positive path of profitability here. Health rating is 7. So they've got a good current ratio, so their debt ratio is okay. Their Altman Z is very positive, so that says they're not at any risk of bankruptcy or insolvency. So that's positive, given that they're losing money. And all their other current ratios, quick ratios, etc., are neutral. So we see their debt to equity is a little high, so that's a little bit of a concern, but their ratios are okay, and their Altman Z is pretty positive. They don't pay a dividend, and then we have our other standard health metrics. At the analyst ratings for Nouveau Monde Graphite, ticker symbol NMG, and ChartMill, we can see it has a buy consensus of only 40%. So it's analyzed by 8 analysts. Again, buy consensus is only 40%. So the price targets range from 475 to a high of 946. We see mostly hold, some sells, and some strong sells. So a pretty negative analyst sentiment. Looks like it's recently decreased. So analyst sentiment has deteriorated recently. So those are all negative. So again, you've got some strong sells and sells at this time. So that would obviously be some downward pressure on the stock at this point in time. Okay, a quick look at the ownership structure for Nouveau Monde Graphite, ticker symbol NMG, and ChartMill. We can see the majority of stock is held by the public, by retail investors. Only a small percentage, 8%, is institutional, and only 8 or 9% is insiders. So again, that may account for some of the dramatic volatility. Again, we can see the shares outstanding is only 55 million. And 34 million of it is float. So again, pretty small, relatively low float. Only 9% insiders held, only 8% institutional. There was a positive change in institutional ownership as of June, so that's a little bit positive. and there are no insider transactions. Okay, if we do our due diligence on ticker symbol NMG, Nouveau Monde Graphite in FinViz, and I will leave the direct link to the FinViz profile for Nouveau Monde Graphite, ticker symbol NMG, in the description box below. We take a quick look at the chart. Again, we see it was in a downward trending channel. It has recently broken out. It's broken through both of its shorter term moving averages. It's now testing its longer term moving average. It's getting some resistance there, but it's had a nice run up in August. And it looks like it's hitting some resistance at that point. If we zoom out quickly to the weekly here, again, we can see it's testing that longer term resistance or longer term moving average, running into some resistance. And on a monthly, very similar. It's bounced off of the shorter term moving average and bouncing up. It's got some room to run. We can see the overall range anywhere from 6, right now it's at 622, so it's been as low as about 338, and it's been as high as 2190 in 2021. So if we look at some of the metrics, again, some of these metrics are not available in FinViz because it's a Canadian company. Often foreign companies don't have their financial metrics showing up in FinViz. So fortunately, we can find some of this data in ChartMill and some other sources. So by using a variety of sources for our due diligence, we can get a better picture, better overall picture of the companies. Here we can see it is optionable. The recommendation is a little negative. We see the shares outstanding, so there's a little bit of a discrepancy between the float and the shares outstanding, so they could potentially dilute further. We see the target price is $9.74. Currently, it's sitting about $6.22, so it's got some positive upside. If we do a quick scan through some of the news, we can see they did a quarterly update on August 11th. We see some negatives. The feasibility study had a little bit of a negative. Stock options was a little bit negative. Offering back in January. So a mixture. It looks like 5 to 7, 8% swings on some of this news. So it would behoove you to be aware of the news. And then it looks like they did another major offering in June of 21, and it sank significantly at that point. Again, we can see their profile here in FinViz: acquisition, exploration, development, evaluation of mineral properties in Canada for graphite. It's a Meadowinnie project. It's got 392 mining claims, 21,750 hectares in North Montreal. It does real estate and trading businesses. It was previously known as Nouveau Monde Mining and changed its name in 2017. Was founded in 2011. Headquarters in Saint Michel de Saints, Canada. And again, because it is a foreign company, a Canadian company, FinViz is not showing any financial data. So again, a limitation of FinViz for foreign companies that it's good to be aware of, and then again, seek other sources for that financial data, which we will also show you. Our due diligence on Nouveau Monde Graphite Inc., ticker symbol NMG, and Seeking Alpha. And I'll again leave the direct link to this profile for Nouveau Monde Graphite, ticker symbol NMG, and Seeking Alpha in the description box below. We can see quickly over the chart, it's showing a positive 2% gain for the year. We see some of their basic metrics, but ideally we want to look at some of the analysis and news so that it's positive, whole new world of opportunity. Here's another one, too good to be true. See some of the news. Their latest EPS was negative 9.93 Canadian. They got a new CEO in January. They raised money, private placement in 21. We look at their ratings. Wall Street has a buy. Quants have a strong sell. No author coverage. They're not rating them in factors here. Similar profile description to what we've seen. And again, it's not showing any revenue. EPS is quarterly. It looks like it improved slightly and then is turning negative again. So fourth quarter is expected to be negative. If we look at the annual, so this is showing a positive EPS estimated for December of 23. So very negative this year, positive next year is what Seeking Alpha is estimating. So a lot of the other metrics are not filled in again. Return on equity is negative, assets is negative. No dividends, market cap $345 million, total debt it's useful $4 million. They've got $25 million in cash. So again, pretty low volume. Ownership structure is public 55%. We've got private corporations got 20%. Institutions shown here is about 12%. We've got a VC firm for about 10%. So quite a mixture of ownership, but the majority is still public retail. Short interest is very low. But given the low volume, the days to cover is almost 6 days. The beta is very high. So it's going to move positively with its index, again, at a very high rate. It's three times the move in the index. Here they're not showing an Altman Z-score. So we see some of the press releases, balance sheet, total cash, $25 million. Again, net EPS is negative 0.73. Net income is negative 38 million, so that's pretty negative given they only have 25 million. Gross profit negative 12 million. Total debt 4 million. So they're losing a lot of money right now. So cash from operations minus 33 million. So given that they only have 25 million and they're losing 33 million, that would seem to indicate that they're probably going to have to raise money in the near future. So again, the risk of dilution here, apparently they're not at risk of bankruptcy, insolvency, but they are losing a ton of money, and a lot of that looks well and from investing, and therefore the risk of dilution is pretty high here. Okay, now let's do our due diligence on Nouveau Monde Graphite, ticker symbol NMG, in the stock screen in Webull. And you can just enter a symbol in the stock screen in Webull, click on the name, view the chart, etc. And also in the lower pane, if you pop up the lower pane, there's some good due diligence information. So we'll take a look at that. We select the financials, we can see a variety of their graphs of their financials. And again, I like this graphical view. So we can see they've been underperforming their estimates on their income, which is, obviously negatively received when they do their earnings reports. Their balance sheet, we can see it improved a little bit and then is going flat into quarter 3 and quarter 4. We see cash flow peaked in 21, it's going down. No financial ratios are available. Look at their income statement. Again, negative net income, very negative in quarter 1, a little bit improvement in quarter 2. Revenue's flat. Operating income, again, very negative in quarter 1, a little improvement in quarter 2. Their balance sheet, so it looks like their debt to asset ratio has increased a little bit recently. Cash flow, again, very negative in quarter 4 of 21, a little bit improvement, but very negative again in quarter 2 of 2022. Investing, very similar. Financing, again, went way down in Q1 of 21 or 22 and got pretty flat, up a little bit in Q2. So we look at the analyst ratings in Webull. This shows 3 analysts. Here we've got some buys, holds, no sells. So again, this is what Webull's saying based on only 3 analysts, so very small percentage. You see the average price target's 965. They're currently at 622. The high is at 1494. See some increase in institutional and some sold out. Order flow is a mixture, quite mostly small to medium. And it's in very few ETFs. So it's in a base metals ETF and an ETF trust. So we see no press releases, corporate actions. This would be where there'd be dividend splits. We don't see any splits. We don't see any insider activity. It is optionable, so you could sell covered calls against it. It looks like the strike prices are pretty broad. And again, you can read about their profile and access their webpage in Webull as well. So if we look at the short term, the 1-year chart for NMG and Webull, we can see that recent run up. We can see they last announced Q2 earnings on August 10th, and it was already running up prior to that and has run up further. So we can see the next resistance level is about this 950 area. We can see range-wise, it's got range up to near 10, 936, etc. If I zoom out even further, we can see even more range. We look at the very short term, it's run up quite a bit. So it's really bounced off of that 330 level. So you can see the significance of that bounce.